Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Cultivating Classical Parents webinar. I am Jennifer Courtney, the Parent Education Director for Classical Conversations Multimedia, and I'm here today with Jamie Covanda, who is the Essentials Academic Advisor, and we're going to spend just a few minutes telling you about some new resources that families will need and want for Essentials for Cycle 3 in the 2017-2018 school year. So we're going to look at these new resources, which is a new edition of the U.S. history-based writing lessons. I have a question, Jamie. Are we going to love these?
Oh, you bet, Jennifer, absolutely. I am so excited to walk through the changes that families are going to see in these new resources and answer any questions that you might have about these new products. But yes, they are sure to become new favorites.
Well, great. Well, let's get started then. So it looks to me like we're looking at a few things here. We have some new additions. Can you tell me about them?
Oh, absolutely. So we've got this chart that lays out our two new writing resources. Families are going to want to be sure to purchase the new edition that has the Statue of Liberty pictured on the cover. Let's take a moment to compare both resources. So we have that previous edition. It's got the scope and sequence, the source text that covers from explorers to the gold rush. You know, Jennifer, the new edition, it actually is expanded. That material now covers a broader scope of time from explorers all the way to present day. I don't want to give away too much, but let's just say the space race is going to be an awesome resource this year. Families are going to be thrilled when they see, too, that the source text within that, they were hand-selected with CC in mind. Students will quickly recognize that the source texts that are referenced in the book and that are available there, they're going to reinforce all of those history sentences and the timeline that they've been working on in Foundations.
So just to clarify, the scope of the source text has been expanded so that the history and timeline connections within the source text will now support what our kiddos are learning from Foundations to Challenge. That sounds great.
Yeah, I am super excited. And you may also remember that the history-based materials aligned with the TWSS workbooks. But did you know that that previous history writing book, those lessons actually aligned with the TWSS first edition? Now we've got this new edition history-based writing lesson, and it is beautifully aligned with the TWSS second edition. So that teaching, writing, structure, and style second edition that parents have, that matches perfectly now with their writing book. And honestly, this makes equipping ourselves as parents and preparing our students even easier. Another one of my favorite changes to the writing books is how the stylistic techniques are also introduced. Do you remember when Essentials tutors would model for us a particular lesson, and then we'd go home and we'd have to go to an entirely different lesson because the stylistic technique was found somewhere else in the book? Well, no more. We worked really closely with the folks at IEW to purposefully place all of those stylistic techniques within a 24-week schedule. That's right. So families at home won't have to search around to find those stylistic techniques. They'll be right there within the lesson that their student is working on.
That's great. I remember some of the confusion that caused. So before, it seems like the books had 32 lessons with the stylistic techniques sprinkled throughout. But now in this new edition, the 30 lessons have the stylistic techniques purposefully placed within our 24-week schedule. That's really helpful. Tutors and families will really appreciate it. What about those? So we have 24 weeks of foundations, so we've got 6 other lessons. What about those? Can parents expect that those will be covered in the essentials class?
Oh, that's a great question too, Jennifer. Actually, those bonus or additional lessons provide great opportunities for more practice at home. Parents can use those lessons to reinforce the concepts, gain additional practice, or use them to scale forward if they want to challenge their student, right, with more writing. I've also seen those extra lessons used during CC breaks like Christmas or summer.
Oh, excellent. All right. So I have a question that we're probably all going to get, and that is, what about those families that own the previous edition or purchased it somewhere else? Can they just continue to use that for cycle 3?
Oh, I'm really glad that you brought that up. That is going to be a question we're going to see a lot. Actually, Jennifer, that previous edition is not even going to be available for purchase any longer. It's being discontinued by IEW. The families will need to purchase the new edition. Truly, it's going to be necessary for participation. Think of it this way. Essentials tutors will be using that new edition, and the writing schedule that we produce to model those lessons will be what's in class. So it's an entirely new book with completely different source text. Parents often, they come to Essentials with their student for that support and encouragement, the accountability and the equipping. So really, Jennifer, everyone needs to be on the same page, and we've got to have the same materials for this to happen. So to answer you directly, in order for families to participate in Essentials class, they really need to own the new materials that we're using. And honestly, it's another way that we can honor our relationship with IEW.
Got it. So just to make sure, what I hear you saying is that this time around, the source texts are different and they cover all the way to the modern period. And so that means that Essentials families will need to have this new edition in order to get the highest return for their investment into the class, as well as to uphold the integrity of our relationship with IEW.
Exactly, Jennifer. So even if families do own the previous edition, they're going to need to purchase the new edition so that they can participate in class and honor really the copyright policies of IEW. Yeah, it is so beautifully written, and it's really an affordable book. The new edition also has appendices and advanced lessons available. There are even literature connections offered.
Oh, does that mean Essentials tutors will be reading literature in class?
Oh, great question. Actually, no, we haven't added literature to Essentials. We will be working through the 24-week writing schedule, but within that schedule, we've actually added an optional at-home reading aloud literature section. So basically, we just wanted to give families that literature connection from the history-based writing in an easy, accessible form so that they could visually connect the lessons with the literature that's appropriate for that writing selection and the schedule. But yes, the literature connections are listed on the schedule, but they're intended for at-home use only. Really, Jennifer, is there any extra time to squeeze anything else into Essentials class?
No.
Jennifer, another thing I'd love to add, families will be able to purchase these through CC. So they should look toward their book rep at the practicum that's coming up. And I would encourage them to get their hands on the materials, look through it. You'll see the difference right away.
Great. So at the beginning, we said there were two new resources to look at, and we've spent some time looking at the new edition that has explorers to the modern day. But can we take a minute to talk about the other resource?
I would love to. Let's compare those side by side too. So the old student resource notebook, it was actually written by Lori Vestegen. She did a great job. She designed the notebook as an additional resource to the history-based writing books. It's written with the sections divided by stylistic techniques, not according to the TWSS or Teaching Writing Structure and Style units. Again, because it was designed as an additional resource, it doesn't line up with the TWSS. So the student was left before to search around for the material that he needed instead of following it step by step because it's not in the same order as our TWSS or the history-based writing. It was just cumbersome, and it kind of felt more like an egg hunt, right?
Yeah.
But as always, IEW is improving, and we always love how the improvements that they've made because they've got a mind towards what families are really needing. This new edition, this is actually going to be called the Student Resource Packet. It's written by IEW specifically to support the history-based writing lesson and the newest TWSS. So those align perfectly with all of the units. They even have matching tabs with units 1 to 9 through each section. This one is also a supplement, not an additional resource. So it serves as a supplement. And Jennifer, something else, inside of this, it has 3 sections for every unit. It has process, samples, and templates.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about what those three words mean?
Oh, absolutely. So within the unit, the student resource packet offers the process that has been modeled from the TWSS. See, each section is going to perfectly coincide with the TWSS unit. So it's going to have a quick, brief overview of the material that parents have already seen on the videos and in their workbook, the TWSS materials. And they're going to see then how it's modeled in class, right? So you've got the process on the DVDs from TWSS, the process modeled in class, in Essentials class, and then here it is again in a very concise form presented to parents. So then it has samples. You know, I'll walk away from something and think I've got it, Jennifer, and then I'm like, now how did that happen? How did I do that? And I'm wishing I had another sample. Well, this offers additional samples based on the process. So it's just extra examples that you can go to. Then IEW's taken it a step further, and they've given us black outlines for templates. So they're blank, like the black line masters. They're blank templates that families can pull out, make copies, and their students can use that for their outlines that match up with that unit and that lesson.
Wow, that sounds really great. So, you know what my next question is going to be? Where can we get our hands on this new student resource packet?
It's really not complicated. It comes free with any IEW writing resource purchase. You know, Jennifer, in the front of the IEW books, they always tuck in that blue sheet of paper with all these free downloads. This is just one of those free downloads. So parents can download that, print it off, and it's just the cost of their ink at home.
Oh, that's great. Very convenient. And it sounds like it's going to be super helpful.
Yeah. I
Cool.
absolutely love these products, and I'm so excited for Essentials tutors to get their hands on them. But I know that the families are going to love this, and they're going to appreciate how this reinforces and supports what their kids are doing in foundations for sure.
That's great. Well, you've answered the questions very thoroughly today, but what happens if someone watches this video and doesn't have all their questions answered?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, families, I would say first should go to their Essentials tutor. Their Essentials tutor will have all of this information and more details for them, as well as the writing schedule. And they're also welcome to go to the Foundation's Essentials director. That would be a great place to start. And then during practicum season, I would encourage families to go and talk with the bookstore rep, and they can tell you all the information that they need to know as well.
Excellent. So we've got lots of great places to go with our local folks. Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Well,
thank you, Jennifer.
yeah, thanks for coming today, Jamie. And since we were talking about meeting with a bookstore rep at a parent practicum this summer, I will leave us on that note that we hope to see all of you this summer at a 2017 parent practicum where we dive into reasoning together, the art of relationships. We learn a little bit more about classical and Christian education. We learn a little bit more about how to study together in community, and we learn a lot more about the subject of logic. So I hope that you'll go to our event calendar and register for an event near you. We hope to see you there. Thanks, everyone.